let me just get the right file open. Sorry, class, I couldn't get my computer to come on for some reason. It was just being a little bit slow, so I've only just managed to switch everything on. Here we go. Right. Okay, so I could see, could you please switch on your cameras, everyone? Great, thank you so much. Great to see you, Lai. Great to see you, Chanel. And Core, great to see you, Pei. Wonderful. Hey, Wenyan. Okay, so how is everybody today? Good, so I see a little bit of nodding. Lai, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Great, wonderful. Oh, a beautiful house again. Chanel, let's see your background. How are you? And how are you doing today, Chanel?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Oh, nice and studious. I like all the books in the background. Okay. Core, how are you doing?
Fine.
Okay, wonderful. And Pei?
I also good today.
Great. Wanyan, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. And Noor, great to see you with your camera on.
Yes, teacher.
Actually, Noor, I was looking at your picture on WhatsApp, and I think you were wearing such a lovely looking outfit. It looks like you were wearing pure silk or something.
Thank you.
It looked very lovely in that picture. Angela, hey there. How are you today, Angela?
I'm fine.
Okay, good, good. And Nicholas, how are you doing today? Oh, you switched your microphone on, but I barely heard anything.
I mean, I'm fine today.
Good, excellent. And Anthony?
Yes, teacher.
Hey there, Anthony. So how about you? How are you doing on this fine weekend?
Like usual. Nothing special.
Okay. And Jeff, what about you? Are you here? How are you today?
Fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's make a start. So today we're finishing off the unit that we were on, and the final part of that was writing. And if you remember, I'm just looking at the cameras there. And if you remember, I asked you to complete a writing piece in advance of today's class. Now, I know, Noor, you weren't here last week, so you couldn't have known about that. And that's okay. So I would like to ask who has their writing piece ready for today? If you could just type into the chat, me, or no, I don't have it. Because if I know, it can help me to, okay. So we have one person ready with their writing piece. Fantastic, thank you so much. Oh, Noor, you weren't here last week. How did you know about it?
I'm watching the recording.
Oh, fantastic. Great. I'm so pleased to hear that you guys are actually watching the recordings. I haven't really watched many of the recordings because I think that no one likes the sound of their own voice or seeing themselves on a recording. I don't know how you all feel about that. Okay, so thank you so much. I really appreciate that you went through and looked at the recording. Okay, so today we're looking at writing because I know that, the book that we're following, the course textbook, it doesn't really have a lot of information devoted to writing skills. It only covers a little bit at a time. So we are going to refer to the book, but there will be a lot here today that isn't in your textbook as well. Because, I know that we need to develop the writing skills, but it's been difficult finding in the book some adequate material. And I do want us to focus on that as well. Okay, so we're going to start today's class by each of you looking at each other's writing piece, and you'll be evaluating it. And then throughout the class, we'll talk about writing technique, but we're going to specifically look at paragraphs and paragraph structure. So that's specifically what we're going to look at today. Oh, actually, I just realized there's a little bit on cohesion, but only a tiny bit. And your homework is a little vocabulary exercise, which I thought might be quite fun for you. Maybe a little bit challenging, just a little bit though. Okay, so paragraph structure. This includes topic sentences, supporting sentences, and paragraph concluding sentences. Because a lot of you are quite good with your paragraphs and your paragraph structures, but looking over the homework and the writing piece from everybody, there were some issues with expanding on your ideas. And this is the sort of thing that could easily get you higher marks. Oh, cohesion and linking as well. We'll look at linking phrases. Sorry, class, I didn't realize I hadn't added them to our agenda. Okay. So just a reminder of what it was that you had to write about for today's class. It's on the instructions are on page 82, but I've also copied and pasted them here. So great way to keep fit. And you had to describe a sporting activity or a form of exercise that you enjoy. And you needed to say, well, okay, I'll just read the instructions, how you started, why you would recommend it to other people. So I just want to ask you a few questions based on these instructions. First of all, do you think you should write formally or informally for this task? Now, you don't have to answer saying informal or formal. You could say a little bit formal or somewhat informal. So you can indicate degree as well. So what do you think about the level of formality? So I'm going to ask the question to Core. Core, how formal do you think the writing should be for this task?
I think it has to be formal.
Okay, and why do you think this? What evidence do you have? Because you should always refer to what the instructions say.
I think because you have to write for the contributions to the magazine.
And what kind of magazine is this? Who is the audience, the target audience?
Is it the school magazine?
Yes, so specifically it says college magazine. So let's highlight this. I'm going to put in brackets the reason why I've highlighted it. Target audience. So something for you to pay attention to when you're looking at when you're reading the instructions for the writing task is in the instructions there is it does actually tell you who your target audience will be, and you have to think about your context and your purpose as well. So we've said, so as Core has said, we're writing for we're writing for a magazine, contributions to a magazine. So we know that's our genre. Our genre is the type of writing. And in case you didn't know that word, I will type it for you in the chat. The word is genre. Does anybody know what this means? Pei Yi, do you know the meaning of genre?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of genres. So let's imagine books. So horror, action, murder mystery, fantasy. Okay, so if I give you these examples, Shinro, could you tell me now what you think genre means?
Does it mean type?
Yeah, essentially, yes. So it's a type of, but specifically when it refers to books or films. So what genre do you, so if I said to you, I'm a writer, and you said, oh, great, what genre do you write? And I would say, oh, my genre is science fiction, or just I tend to write science fiction. So it's one of those strange instances in English where the G is pronounced as a J. Nicholas, very nice. Nicholas has provided another word for us, and he has said theme. Now, theme technically is kind of something else, but like when you use it specifically, but broadly speaking, yes, it does relate to the theme. Now, when it comes to writing, when we say genre, in this instance, genre could be a magazine. It could be a newspaper article. And why do you think it's important for us to know the genre of what we will be writing? Why is it important to pay attention to this? Look, Wanyan, do you think you know why it's important that we pay attention to the genre? How will that influence how we answer the question?
Not really.
Okay, sorry, Wanyan, can you say that again?
Not really.
Okay, so the reason why it's important to know the genre is because it will determine how formal or informal you write. So knowing your genre and your target audience and the purpose of your writing will determine how you write, how formal or informal your writing should be. And if you remember from the criteria, one of the things you are marked on is called communicative achievement. Now, in communicative achievement, this mostly refers to the degree to which you have responded to the conventions of the task. So this means if you will never be asked to write a scientific report in the FCE exam. I'm just using this as an example, okay? So if for example, you did have to write a scientific report, it would have to be very formal. It would have to be very technical. And usually the purpose of a scientific report is to inform. Now, with a newspaper article, the purpose could be to inform, to entertain, to persuade, to argue. You have many different purposes. And a newspaper article tends to be less formal, but not informal though, not informal. It depends what kind of newspaper you're writing for. Okay, so with that in mind, we've got our audience, we've got our genre, but what is the purpose of this article that you have to write? any ideas about the purpose? Now, if you want to type this into the chat, because I'd like all of you to try to think about what the possible purpose could be. There are 3 things I will accept as an answer. Any ideas? Okay, Noura, do you have any ideas? Noor, are you still here with us? Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing suggestions in the chat. That's okay, because this is probably your first time thinking about the purpose of a text. Maybe first time, maybe. So I would accept to inform, or to explain, or even to describe, because it literally uses the verb here, describe. Okay, I'm going to pick, oops, I wasn't supposed to click red. Green. So these are 3 things to pay attention to in order to achieve well for communicative achievement. Okay, the next thing I want to ask you about is, what are the main ideas you need to address in your essay according to these instructions? Anthony, do you know which are the main ideas that you need to address in your essay according to these instructions? What ideas do you need to include?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Chanel, what do you think? What ideas do you need to include in your essay according to these instructions?
I think it's the sporting activity or form of exercise you enjoy.
Yes, perfect. So we'll underline this. Excellent. So that's one idea. Pei, is there another idea that we must talk about in the essay?
How you started the sporting activity or form of exercise you enjoy.
Good. Excellent. Perfect. And Lai, do you think you can tell us the final idea that we have to include?
Why you would recommend it to other people?
Precisely. Excellent. Now, for the FCE exam, you don't really have to worry about overall structure, because the instructions give you the structure, overall structure of your essay. And with that in mind, can somebody please tell me how many paragraphs you think you should have in this task based on what it's asking you to do? So Peggy, do you know how many paragraphs?
Maybe 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, maybe 3. Now, usually when we're writing in a more formal context, like if you were writing an essay for a school, for example, you would be expected to have a little introduction. But I think that for this task, it's really hard to write an introduction that, well, I mean, you could write an introduction that would be 4 paragraphs and a conclusion, but as a minimum 3. And you can include a little introduction if you like, because an introduction, you can have what we call like a thesis statement, which tells everybody what it is you'll talk about. Okay, so we'll talk about that another time though. Okay, so what if we have 3 main body paragraphs? then what will the first paragraph be about? What do you think? Core, do you know what our first main body paragraph would be about?
For the first paragraph,
Yeah, so the first main body paragraph, what do you think, what will it talk about?
the intro,
Oh, the first main body paragraph.
to tell them the sporting activity or form of exercise you enjoy.
Perfect, exactly. So you really should use the structure of the sentence to help you to determine how many paragraphs you will need. I'm looking for a color I haven't used yet. Let's just red. Okay, and what would your second main body paragraph be? Angela, do you think you know the answer to this?
Yeah, I'm not sure about it.
Okay, and Noor, do you know?
How you started?
Good, precisely. So your second main body paragraph should address the second idea. And the third and final main body paragraph, Nicholas, do you think you can tell us what that third main body paragraph would be about? Nicholas? Okay, I'd actually like to go back to Angela again. Angela, now that you've been, following, seeing what we're doing, can you predict what the final paragraph would be about? So Angela, we said that the first main body paragraph needs to address this idea because this is the first idea mentioned in the instructions. And the second main body paragraph should be about how you started. That's the second idea. So what should our final main body paragraph?
Why you would recommend it to
Precise.
other people?
Exactly. Thank you so much, Angela. Exactly. Absolutely. So you're very fortunate in the FCE exam, actually, in that regard, because the instructions really do give you the overall structure that you need to follow in your essay. I mean, it's really hard for students and higher in other educational settings because they also have to learn how to structure their paragraphs and think of their own independent ideas. But the structures and the ideas are given to you here. So that's very useful. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you about, I want to say 5 minutes, but I think it might take you a little bit longer. I'm going to give you, let's say about 7 minutes. I want you to have your reading, so the piece that you wrote, ready to share. So you can just press the share screen function, or you can share it as a document in the chat. So I want you to share it with your partner so that you can read each other's piece of writing. And then I want you to discuss, what you think generally of their writing piece. So does it look well written? Does it look well structured? Does it include all of the necessary information according to the task instructions? And just a quick appraisal of whether you think the spelling and grammar is correct. So you're just reading, overall quite quickly for a general idea of your partner's text. Okay. So I will give you longer than 5 minutes for this. And I'll put these instructions into the chat for you. Let's just stop sharing and arrange your breakout rooms. Don't be surprised if I do give you a little bit more than 7 minutes, because I think it might take you a while to share the document and then read each other's and then discuss. So I think actually it might be a good idea if we do have 10 minutes in the breakout room. So okay, so it's an uneven, oh no, there isn't. Okay, so there should be 2 participants per room. Let me just check. Excellent, yes. Okay, so I'm going to open your rooms now. Please be ready to share your writing immediately. And I will see you back here in about 10 minutes time. If you didn't complete the writing, what you can do is discuss with the other person in your room. So if only one of you has done the writing, just look at that one piece of writing. But if both of you in the room have not done the writing, then please review the instructions for the writing. And remember, this is on page, I think it was 82. Yes, it's page 82. And you can discuss how you would structure it. Okay, so if you've not done the writing task and neither is your partner, discuss how you would answer it and what ideas you would address. Okay, see you back here in approximately 7 to 10 minutes. Okay, good luck, everyone. All right, welcome back, everybody. And so, what did you think of each other's writing? So, Nur, Wanyan, what did you think of Alaya's writing piece?
It is good and the grammar is correct. And she elaborated her idea.
Good, excellent. And did you think the structure was good?
Yes,
Okay, excellent. And Shiro, who was your partner?
My partner is Scarce.
What did you think of Core's writing?
Very unfortunately, he didn't write, but I have asked him about what he would write in his essay if it is possible. So I think it's quite a good idea because he had told me that he might write some badminton and some technique to play badminton in the essay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Core, what did you think of Shino's text?
I think it's very good. The points are enough, and she did write everything according to the instructions and good use of idioms, proverbs.
Oh, good. I'd like to see that then. I'm very curious about what idioms you used. Okay, so I've only asked a few of you, but we're actually going to repeat this exercise a little bit later in the class once we've gone over everything that we're going to go over today, because then you'll have other things to think about when it comes to evaluating each other's work. So we're going to talk a little bit more about paragraphs and paragraph structure, so then you can go back over the writing pieces and look at it sentence by sentence and see how well you think you have structured your paragraphs. We'll do that a little bit later. Okay, so on the topic of paragraphs, now these are tough questions. So, but would anyone like to try to answer this first question? I'll just number them. What is a paragraph? Now, there are many different definitions of what a paragraph is. So, you can feel free to have a try. Okay, I'm not sure if you know this, but an informal expression to have a try. We did do this in a reading once before, is to have a go. To have a go at something. So I'll put the expression here. To have a go at something. In Scotland, however, they say shot instead of go. To have a shot at something. Yeah, it's just something I've only encountered in Scotland. All the children say it. Can I have a shot of that scooter? Because they want to ride the scooter. Yeah. Have a shot of that bicycle. Can I have a shot? Can I have a try? Can I have a turn? Very interesting expression. Okay. And another way you can say it is if someone can tell you to give it a go. Give it a go means give it a try. So let's say, for example, you say, oh, I've never ice skated before. So let's imagine Wanyan says to me, oh, teacher, I've never ice skated before. I don't think I can do it. And I say to Wanyan, oh, just give it a go. You can do it. It means try it. Give something a go. It's an informal. These are all informal. This is an informal phrase, but very common. So definitely worth knowing. Okay, so I know you may not really know exactly how to describe a paragraph, but there are many ways to define it. So give it a go. Who would like to give it a go? Who would like to try to describe what a paragraph is? Oh, Lai, very nice. Lai, can you please read out your answer aloud on the microphone?
A group of sentences that forms a unit.
Good. And it definitely looks like you looked at dictionary.com, or dictionary entry, because it's very formal. Okay, that is one way to describe a paragraph. Good. Now, do you think there is a standard structure of a paragraph? Peggy, what do you think for number 2?
I think it doesn't have.
A good paragraph does have a structure. So the answer to this is actually yes. And any ideas about how paragraphs are linked together? So Alaya, would you like to try to answer number 3? Oh. I don't know if Alaya is having problems with her internet. Okay, Wenyun, what are your thoughts? How do you think paragraphs are linked together?
I'm not sure, but I think that is something like when you finish writing and elaborate a point, you
Okay.
write another point and elaborate. And I think that's how a paragraph link together.
Okay, right. You need specific devices to link paragraphs together. However, what you have said, what you would be linking are the ideas that you elaborate on. So, you kind of have the idea there. Now, let's have a look at the answers. So, what is a paragraph? As I said before, each paragraph deals with one main idea. And it's very important that you stick to that, you remember this. Because if you have too many main ideas, then your paragraphs will be very chaotic. So one main idea. Now you can, however, make several points about that main idea, but those points have to be about that main idea. So one main idea, but about which you can make several points, which you then elaborate, expand on. Okay. So yes, standard structure and linking phrases are the most obvious ways of linking paragraphs together, but they're not the only way, and we'll see that soon. Right, there's a lot of text here, so I'm going to ask all of you to read it instead. Anthony, can you hear me, Anthony?
Yes.
Can you please read the first sentence, the first bullet point?
Okay. The idea and sentences in a paragraph should be easy to follow and arrange logically.
Okay, thank you so much, Anthony. So absolutely. Angela, do you think you could read the second bullet point?
I don't know.
Sorry, Angela? So it's this one. Could you read this bullet point out loud?
Each paragraph should contain one main idea only. Each idea should be indicated in the topic sentence.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Core, can you read the third bullet point?
The rest of the sentences in the paragraph are supporting sentences. In other words, they elaborate on the topic, provide further explanation or clarification.
Good. And Cora, do you know what clarification means?
Like confirmation.
Okay, you're very close there, okay? So if you say something that's unclear, I will say, can you give me clarification? So it's to make something clearer. And I suppose when you do that, you are kind of confirming something. So confirm similar, you were very close, but it's to make something clearer. Or like exactly clear, to provide more details. Now, just for use of English, I'm going to give you other forms of this word. So clarification is the noun. Clarify is the verb form. To clarify something. And Jeff, can you please read the final bullet point? Jeff, are you there? Okay, apparently not. And Lai, would you be able to read that final bullet point, please?
The final sentence of your paragraph should be a conclusion sentence.
Good. Okay. Now, in this class today, we will be looking at examples of topic sentences. So, one main idea indicated in the topic sentence. But as I said, you can make several points about that topic sentence. So, I mean, about the main idea, which is in the topic sentence. Every other sentence are supporting sentences, more explanation or clarification. That can include explaining the reason why. So if you say, I like hockey, I like playing hockey. Further explanation, I like playing hockey on the weekends with my friends. Clarification, I like playing hockey because I find it very challenging and my parents played hockey and I want to follow in their footsteps. That would be some clarification and further explanation. Okay, so when you're writing your essays for the FCE exam, for every point that you make, you need to give explanation or clarification, or both. And this is how you can expand your ideas. And the same also goes for your speaking as well. I mean, we'll see written examples of this, but you know, it's always a good idea not to view the skills we learn for writing as associated just for writing. This idea that for every point you make, you should expand, it's also very important for your speaking as well. For every point you make, you should expand on that. Okay, and yeah, this conclusion sentence. There are different things a conclusion sentence can do, and we'll be looking at that soon. Okay, I'm not going to show you the anatomy of a paragraph. Alaya, do you think you can read this first sentence here?
London has been the English capital for over 100 years.
Does it say 100?
1,000?
Good.
Yes.
Don't worry about that too much. It's the kind of mistake I would have made as well. I'm not very good at reading numbers, especially when they're big. And Lai, could you please read the next sentence?
For many centuries, it has been the center of the country's economic, cultural, and social life.
Very nice, thank you. And Jeff, are you here with us? Fantastic. Jeff, can you please read this third sentence here? We didn't hear anything, Jeff.
Its dominance is due to its strategic site near the lowest crossing point of the river Thames.
That was really good, Jeff. That was very good. Thames, good. Okay, Pei, could you please read the next sentence, starting with the Romans?
The Romans were the first people to build a bridge near the position of today's Tower Bridge.
Excellent. And Nicholas, are you there? Okay then, Shinra, could you please read the final one?
Okay. Over 500 years ago, the area below the bridge had become a major river port for ships trading with Europe.
Okay, very good, everybody. Thank you so much. Now, these are the sentences, and have a look at the right side column here. They each have a different purpose. So our first sentence here is our topic sentence. And in almost every paragraph, but not 100% of paragraphs, the topic sentence is usually the first sentence, usually. Now, we're talking about topic sentences today in the context of writing and writing a topic sentence. But when you're actually reading, so doing the reading part of the exam, the FCE exam, I've said before, it's always a good tip for each paragraph to locate that topic sentence in order to help you to understand the main idea of each paragraph, the main subject. So topic sentences are very useful things, both to know how to recognize when you're reading and to know how to write for your own writing. Okay, so in this paragraph, all of these sentences go together quite nicely. If you can imagine these separate sentences together in a paragraph, then the flow is we have a topic sentence, then a kind of restatement of the topic. So you're making a specific point about the topic. And then you have your supporting sentences. And in this case, an example, we have a reason and an example. These are types of supporting sentences. Now, it's unfortunate that this paragraph doesn't really end the concluding sentence, but I will be showing you an example of a concluding sentence. Instead, this paragraph ends with more information. Okay, so can I have a little look now? Oh, let me see the time. What we have left. Okay, let's actually take our break now. And when we come back from the break, we will look at topic sentences, concluding sentences, then there will be some practice. And obviously we'll be finishing by looking at an example writing answer to the task that you prepared for today. Okay, so see you back here in 10 minutes time, everyone. Hey everyone. Great, so we're ready to go again. I tried to come back about a minute or two ago, but my headphones wire was all tangled around my chair. So I've been wearing them and I turned my chair around, so I'll try not to do that in future. Okay, so let's get back to what we were looking at. Right, just before we look at topic sentences, I just want to explain the reason why these certain words are highlighted or circled. Why there's red around these words. Any idea why I've put a square around the word it here? So for many centuries, it has been the center. Shino, do you have any idea why I've put a little red mark around it?
Is it because the word you break it out is referred to the topic of the first sentence?
Exactly. What does it refer to exactly?
London.
Aha, good. Precisely. No, I don't really want to say the name of who it is. I'll contact them privately. But one person this class particular has a lot of issues with cohesion. This is part of cohesion, using pronouns to refer back to the subject or the object of a sentence, for example. Okay, so it, referring to London, has been the center of the countries. Okay, now if you remember from a previous class, I said that when we first introduce something, we usually use a or an, the indefinite article. But if it's something that's already been introduced, we can then use the. Now, this is a very common thing in English. There are some things, however, that are always introduced even in the beginning with the, and that's if we already know there's only one of that thing. So there could only be one thing that we're talking about. So yeah, what does the country, what does this refer to? Pei, what do you think?
The country refer to London.
Okay, does it refer to London? Because London isn't a country. So what else could it be referring to? What country has been introduced in the first sentence already?
Is it England?
Yes, exactly. Now it says English capital. However, it's implicit. We know that the English capital could only be, it means England. So the countries. Okay, thank you, Cor. And Angela, can you please tell me what it refers to here?
London.
Oh, can you say that again, please, Angela? London, yes, it's dominance. It's referring back to London, precisely. So do be careful when using pronouns to refer back to things that have already been mentioned. Make sure that the pronoun you use grammatically matches what it is you're talking about. Now, at some point, when I get the permission from the person who made these mistakes, I'll type some of their sentences as an exercise for you to correct, but without the person's name on. So I'll keep it anonymous, but I will contact that person to ask. So someone in our class. Okay. And the mistake that they made is that every time they used a pronoun to refer back to something, it never did match grammatically. So an example of this would be, I know, saying using their to refer back to London. And London needs to be it, it's singular. Okay. Right, so a little bit about topic sentences. Almost all paragraphs, begin with a topic sentence. It tells you immediately the main subject that will be dealt with in the paragraph. But it doesn't just mention what the main idea, the main subject is for the whole paragraph. It tends to have a focus, and it can also give us an idea of the scope of what will be talked about in the sentence. So if we go back to our example topic sentence over here, London has been the English capital for over 1,000 years. The topic word is London. Okay, so that's our topic, and it also provides a focus as well. And this idea of for over 1,000 years, that gives us information about the scope. So we can imagine that the paragraph will talk about aspects of London over a period of 1,000 years. So that kind of defines the scope of what you're talking about. So your topic, you might have a focus. Some topic sentences, especially if it's a later paragraph, will also link back to a previous paragraph as well. Okay, and we'll see examples of that soon. Okay, so yes, I'm still have the red pen. So we have a topic. Now, a focus, we will see an example of this. And sometimes a link. As I said, especially if this is a later paragraph, if you've already had another 1 or 2 main body paragraphs. Let's have a look at this example here. Cor, can you please read this sentence?
The example?
Yes, you don't need to read the brackets though.
Wireless devices are also likely to have a big impact on another industry, transport.
Okay, thank you so much, Cor. So we can see here our topic. This is going to be the main subject of the paragraph. Now, we're going to come back to link in a moment. But what about wireless devices are we going to say? Transport, something to do with transport. That's our focus. Now, this is a link. In what way do you think this is a link? Any ideas at all? Well, this question is open to anyone. Anyone who thinks they know the answer can turn on their microphone. Okay, are you sure you don't have any ideas? Okay, so the answer here is in the language. The link here says another industry, but this is the topic of a paragraph, isn't it? So you have to think to yourself, what, another industry? That implies that in a previous paragraph, the idea of industry has been addressed. So another industry. So are also likely to have an impact. So also on another industry. That implies that a previous paragraph we talked about industries. This is the link. Now, your topic sentences don't always have to have a link, but they can have a link, and you can improve your linking generally in the structure of your paragraphs. So we said earlier that you can use linking words and phrases to link your paragraphs. These are words such as however, despite, although, these words you already know. But this provides you with another way that you can link your paragraphs by referring back to an idea in a previous paragraph. So another industry. Do you have any questions about this? Anything you didn't quite understand? Anything you would like to ask? Okay, great. So this is topic sentences that we're looking at now. And just a reminder that your supporting sentences can be reasons, examples, clarification, or further explanation. So I will type those other two categories. Oh, yes, everyone. So elaboration, clarification, because that isn't written here in this slide. A reason, an example. So this is how you can expand your answers. So topic sentences. So now let's go to concluding sentences. Peggy, oops. Can you read this first sentence and the example, the first bullet point here?
The concluding sentence in the paragraph can summarize the main idea expressed in the paragraph.
I'm so sorry, Peggy, but you were so quiet. Are you? Can you try that again, please? Is there any way you could be louder?
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, better.
The concluding sentence in the paragraph can summarize the main ideas explored in the paragraph.
Thank you very much. And Anthony, could you please read this sentence?
Make a conclusion from the information given in the paragraph.
Okay, good. So that's something else a concluding sentence in a paragraph can do. It's up to you what you want to do in your concluding sentence. Okay, Nicholas, are you here? Nicholas? Okay, Lai, could you please read, so make sure to start with this one and then read the final one, please.
The concluding sentence in a paragraph can link the ideas in the paragraph back to the essay or assignment title.
Yes, good. If you ever write for any other purpose, so like a high school essay, then this is the most common one that you will be asked to do. In the FCE, it doesn't matter so much. You can have any type of concluding sentence. Okay. So I have a task for all of you. I would like you to write a suitable concluding sentence for the following paragraph. So this is something you will do individually. Now, I'm just going to ask you one by one to read some of these sentences. Cor, can you please read the first part of this sentence I've highlighted?
Climate change has had a number of negative effects on human lives. Agricultural crops have been damaged.
Thank you so much. And Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you read the highlighted sentence, please?
For example, last year's rice production decreased, so many people are suffering from famine.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Alaya, could you please read this next sentence here?
Many African countries especially have a much lower yield of agricultural production.
Okay, excellent. Peggy, can you read this sentence?
Global warming can also affect people's health.
Excellent. Oh, I don't think that's full stop supposed to be there. Okay. Angela, can you please read this next sentence?
In particular, extremely hot temperatures can increase the number of people who die on any given day.
Okay, so this word is quite a big word. So I'm going to ask a few of you to try to pronounce this. Shinro, can you pronounce this word, please?
Temperatures.
Okay, that was a lot closer to than Angela's. Okay, Pei, how do you think we should say this word?
Temperature.
Ah, that was quite good. That was rather good. Okay, so essentially this is an example of a syllable. Oh, the syllable is gone. Let me click back. A syllable that we don't really say. We don't usually say temperature. We say temperature. Okay. Now I know that was a difficult one, Angela. So it's absolutely fine, but we tend to say temperature. So instead of temperature, temperature. Can you say it again, please, Angela? Ah, much better. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. And this final sentence here. Anthony, can you please read this final one?
That's because in hot weather, the herd need to work harder, and heat and additionally affect the immune system.
Yeah, the immune system. Good, excellent. Okay, everybody. So let's save. I think that what we can do is we can save this as a homework task, because writing a concluding sentence will take you some time. So let's change this to a homework task. And you can bring your concluding sentence to the next class for us to evaluate. And we can also look at an example suitable concluding sentence as well. And we can compare your versions to the suggested answer. Okay? Excellent. I was just thinking, because it will take you all time to read through this and digest it and then actually write it. This is the only issue with writing lessons, is the exercises take quite a while to actually write. Okay. Okay, so you do have another task that I would like you to do in the class. So this is an example from a previous student of mine. And she has written a really good paragraph. So she had to, as an essay title, now it wasn't for the FCE exam, but it was for another English exam. It was for the Italics exam. And this was the title that she was given. Now, the reason we're looking at this, even though it's not from an FCE essay, is because it is an example of an excellent paragraph. What I would like you all to do is to take a couple of moments to read through the paragraph. Okay, let's have a look at this. So can somebody please click on the annotation features and underline where you think the topic sentence is? Great, thank you very much, Cor. Excellent. Okay, now it's not said here, but I do want to ask you something else about the topic sentence. Remember we said that in a topic sentence, the topic sentence also tends to have not just the topic, but the topic focus. So the general topic, means of transportation in China. So if I highlight this, do you think any of you can identify the topic focus in this topic sentence? Oh, it's something we've never done before, so. Okay, cool, thank you. So I would, a bit more specifically, say progression and past, but yes, core, good, excellent. Okay, now what we have next, we have a specific point that has been made here. A lovely linking word, don't we? Linking, so an alpha linking, comparison. Ubiquitous, affordable, and fast. Okay, can anybody tell me what the meaning of this word is? It's pronounced ubiquitous. Can any of you guess the meaning from context? Because there is definitely enough evidence in the paragraph for you to be able to determine the meaning of ubiquitous from context. Would anyone like to volunteer to have a go? Give it a go. You can do it. Just turn on your microphone if you think you know the answer. Shinra, any ideas what ubiquitous might mean?
Does it mean we can see everywhere?
Ah, okay. Also, it's does it mean, not does it means. Remember, it's not does it mean, because it's in the does form, that your third person is already in the does. So you don't need S at the end of means. So does it mean? Like as a non-question, it would be it means, but because you have the does. Okay. And I'll actually write that in the chat because that is a very useful point. So as a statement, it means, but as a question with do, the third person goes to does. Does it mean? Okay. Yes, absolutely. It's not specific to the sense of seeing, though. It just means that it's everywhere and readily available. So excellent, Shino. Now let's talk about how you knew, what evidence we have. So these sentences are beautifully structured, because in the previous sentence here, where you have expensive, scarce, and slow. And then we have a list of 3 again in the contrasting sentence of the linking word. And this is how Shinro was able to easily identify what ubiquitous means, because it's directly contrasted with these words here. Now that you know the meaning of ubiquitous, its contrasting word is scarce. So, Pei, do you think therefore you can tell us what scarce means?
You can find it easily.
Yeah, it means there's not a lot of something. So it's, we have, there's not enough, basically. So not enough, or not readily available. Oh. Or difficult to find. This is another way, another possible meaning of scarce. Now I'm going to give you a word called paucity. And I'll just put it in a sentence for you. So there was a paucity. There was a paucity of free education. So that means there wasn't much free education. But this is a very advanced word, a paucity of. It's not so common. But if you know that word, you will actually impress. The examiner will be impressed. But do remember that you need to pay attention to how formal or informal your writing needs to be as well. So if it's the task tells you to write a letter to a friend, to like a best friend, then writing the words like paucity and ubiquitous and scarce wouldn't be appropriate. You would actually lose marks in that sense, because if you were writing a letter to a friend in the exam, they would expect you to be very informal. So that's an important thing to note. Okay, everybody. What else do we have here? Okay, can somebody please underline the concluding sentence? Anybody? If you can use the annotation features and underline the concluding sentence. Excellent, Wanyam, excellent. And can you see what has been done here in this concluding sentence? So we have a linking phrase in this way, which has to refer back to, can only refer back to what's already been mentioned. It is easy to see how life in China has become more convenient with regards to transportation. So in this paragraph, the concluding sentence links back to the question. Remember, we said that a concluding sentence can do various different things. So, oops. I'll just briefly clear the annotations. So these are all the different things a concluding sentence can do. It can summarize the main ideas, it can make a conclusion, or it can link the ideas back to the essay assignment title, which is what the example here has done. Oh. Okay. So quite a lot of lines here. Hopefully you can still read what's actually here. So this is a nice example. Oh, that shouldn't be there. Ah, there we go. That's better. Okay, so here is another topic sentence. And the reason why we're focusing quite a lot on topic sentences is because this is something a lot of students have difficulty writing. So in this topic sentence, can you identify the topic? And can you identify the focus and the link to the previous paragraph? So take a moment to look at it. Okay, so using the annotation tools, can somebody underline the general topic? Ah, Nicholas. I can see you keep underlining. A dot doesn't tell us very much. So I have to interpret from Nicholas's dot that this is the topic. Consumerism, China. Ah, great. Excellent, Nicholas. So the nature of consumers in China, absolutely. Can someone now please underline the topic focus of this? So that's the general topic. What is the topic focus of the paragraph? Can anybody underline that? I wouldn't agree here, it's changed because we have something else here in the sentence, a very specific focus. Any ideas? So yes, change is one facet of the topic focus, but what else? Yeah, it's this one, everyone. Advent of the internet. Advent is just a fancy word that means the invention of the internet. So it's like the invention, or you know how we call a calendar an advent calendar, and it's called an advent calendar because it links to this. So it's like the start of something, an event or an occasion. So the advent of the internet, when the internet was first introduced, first happened, first invented. And that does actually link to the fact that a calendar is called an advent calendar. Okay. Now, can somebody please underline the part of this sentence which links back to a previous paragraph? Now this one is a little bit harder. So if you think you know the answer, please use the annotation tools and underline the link where you can see the link to the previous paragraph. Okay. Chanel, do you think you know where it is? Aha, yes, good. Precisely. Also experienced. And this tells us information as well. Because if we had a look at this topic sentence, we can deduce, so figure out, we know that all of the previous paragraphs talked about change. Because of this phrase here, has also experienced a notable change. So we know that that's what each paragraph has been dealing with. So being able to effectively link your paragraphs like this will gain you higher marks for the criterion structure. Because part of structure is your ability to link your ideas and to link these ideas within a paragraph and across paragraphs as well. And these examples that I've been showing you are many examples of how you can link ideas across paragraphs. Linking ideas, I'm just typing this into the chat. Within paragraphs and linking ideas across paragraphs. Okay. Just conscious of time, and I definitely want you to. Oh, sorry, just getting rid of the annotation tools. Okay, so please turn to page 83. On page 83, you can see an example answer to the writing task that I asked you to prepare for today. I would like you to please read through this. Okay, so if you've finished reading through the example essay on page 83, you will notice some very distinct things about the piece, especially to do with the structure. You will notice that the writer has devoted a paragraph to describe the sporting activity. The writer has also devoted a paragraph to talk about how he started doing this sporting activity. And then he finishes with a paragraph saying why he would recommend it. So in the instructions, you saw that these were three main ideas that they wanted you to address. And the writer has used these main ideas as the main idea of separate paragraphs, which is what we talked about, which is exactly what I expected in your writing piece. So if you didn't do that, please make a note of this, that the ideas mentioned in the instructions are the main ideas to be used for each of your paragraphs, and you should discuss them in the order in which they are listed as well. So the final instruction for the writing test that I gave you is to say why you would recommend your sporting activity. So you shouldn't start your first paragraph by talking about that. That should be your final paragraph. Okay. Now, something else to note are the words in italics. So I'm not sure if some of you might not know what that means. Oops. So I'm going to show you. Why is it still doing that? I don't want to draw. Oh, maybe I need to go back to my mouse. There we go. That's better. So italics is when you change the font to make it slightly slanted. So have a look at the words that are in italics in the essay. What kind of words are they?
Linkers.
Good, exactly. They are linking words. Those specific linking words help to link ideas within the paragraph. So excellent. Now there is an exercise in task 5, page 83, and simply for each gap you have to choose however, despite, or although. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that individually, and then we will go through the answers. Okay, so let's go through the answers. If you haven't finished, then we're going to discuss those answers now. So we'll start with the first one. Okay. Angela, what do you think the answer is to number 1?
Although.
That's correct. The first answer is although. Well done. Wanyan, what do you think is the answer to number 2?
Despite being given tickets to the football match, we decided to watch it on TV.
Exactly. Well done. Anthony, what do you think the answer to number 3 is?
I think the answer is although.
Yes, that's right. Can you say the whole sentence, please, Anthony?
Okay. Although I love to be a professional footballer, I don't think I'm talented enough.
Okay, thank you very much. And Pei, can you read number 4 for us? Despite. Good, very good, Pei. Thank you. Okay, Core, can you please read out number 5?
10% of British teenagers dream of becoming sports stars. However, very few will achieve their ambition.
Thank you so much. That was correct. And Alaya, could you please read number 6?
I won the game, although I never played badminton before.
Okay, just be careful there because you need to make sure we can hear that d, that I'd, because that does change the tense to past perfect. So I'd never played badminton before. Okay, so just be careful of that in future. Okay, and Lai, could you please read number 7?
Although feeling very tired, she managed to finish the race.
Okay, right. For number 7, you can have despite. So let's see. Although feeling, no, it's despite. With although, here we would need a subject. So although she felt very tired, but because we have feeling, we would need despite. If you're unsure about these structures, you can turn to page 168, and there is more information about linking words for contrast and how to use them. So this one is despite feeling very tired, she managed to finish the race. Okay. And number 8, Jeff, could you please read out number 8? Jeff, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you read out sentence number 8 with the answer? So the gap has to have although, however, or despite in it. Oh, we can't hear you. Yeah, we heard you for a second then.
I didn't enjoy the match, although our opponents played very well.
Okay, this is however. The answer to this is however. So, an interesting exercise. And I do recommend that you do some self-study for linking words for contrast. And this is on page 168. So this can be an additional task if you think you need it. Okay, everyone. Now, it is the end of the class today. We can't do too much extra stuff today because today we have a new nanny in the house looking after my son. So just introducing her to the neighborhood, the house, so on and so forth. Now, the only thing we didn't have time for, sadly, was repeating our exercise from the beginning of the class. So we didn't have a chance to, based on everything we've learned today, to go back and make any corrections or edits to your writing piece. However, I'm still going to give you the chance to do that. So I'm going to type that into the presentation. Is you have a couple of homework tasks. I'll need to give you this paragraph though. So your first homework task is to write a suitable conclusion sentence to this paragraph. And I've put it in the chat here for you. And the other one, of course, is page 168, self-study reference for the linking words for contrast. And what I think we could do next week as well is we could start the lesson with another little test like we just did, another exercise like we just did, where you have to select the correct contrasting linking word. Okay, and now the extra bit. We talked earlier about how the context, purpose, and audience that are outlined in the instructions determine how formal or informal you should write. And that this is part of the criterion called communicative achievement. So with this in mind, we're going to finish off today's class by giving you a very simple and hopefully enjoyable exercise. So this is a homework task. Homework. All you have to do is take these words and write the more formal version. So a more formal version, a more formal word for get, a more formal way to say give up or to look into, to ask for. If you're not sure what any of these words mean, for example, to look into is a very specific expression in English. It has a very specific meaning. You can look up the meaning first and then try to find the formal version of each of these words. I will put them into the chat. So the other reason for not doing any extra time today is because I'm actually quite sick this week with tonsillitis. I have no idea if you know what that means, but it's when here becomes so big and swollen and painful that it hurts to talk, to swallow, and to eat. but I have a lot of medication that's helping me right now. Okay, everybody, any questions about today's class at all? There is one other thing I want to ask you to do. So look over, I'd like you to look over your writing piece. Please, that you did this homework. And make any improvements to it on the basis of the feedback that you received from your classmates. And on the basis of what we've learned today about paragraph structure, formal, informal writing, and cohesion. As soon as you've done this, class, please email me your essays. I would love to see them. Okay. And that's all for today. Of course, put that into the chat. Okay, thank you, everybody. So you're free to leave. Thank you so much to all of you. Done really well.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good week. Jeff, Anthony, you're free to leave. I'll see you next week.